Everybody, hello everyone.
Hi everybody.
Out in Twitch land.
Hang on, let us get situated.
Yeah, this is the warm up, guys. But
this is the warm up. You see that sign? It
You
says
drinking maple syrup right out of the glass?
I don't know if I freaked out during that speech, Phil. The
I
guy.
Rod the Master, Darren Castro, Chris Capella, Taco Chief, Brandolph, Phil the Guy. Those are the people I see up there in the chat.
Popping in the chat.
What you're about to be a part of, we're going to stream live, and we're going to talk to you, and you're going to talk to us. But we are going to record this for next week's show. This is not being recorded. This is exclusive to the video you guys are about to see.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel weird about that. We're going to expose ourselves a little bit. I'm going to start the recording.
Don't
now.
literally expose yourself.
I did apparently when I got up after I took off my belt.
This is like the audio equivalent of like a poster you would get for showing up on opening night.
Yeah, but we're going to talk about Captain America: Civil War, and I shouldn't need to tell you at this point. Spoilers! 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 Everyone! Jesus. Thank you, Johnny Blaze loves my shirt. We're going to talk in depth about Captain America: Civil War for at least 30 minutes, and we want to hear what you guys have to say too. And we want to do this more often, so let us know if you like it. Check it out on YouTube. Maybe share it with your boys.
I think people like Batman versus Superman, so doing it again.
Yeah.
And Star Wars, so yeah.
So this concludes the video introduction. Let's get into the podcast. This is really confusing. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hi everybody, welcome to Laser Time. I have to say this again. Spoilers for what movie, everybody?
It's the Captain America Civil War.
See, you almost forgot Captain America's name was in the title.
Yes,
we will
that's
talk
true.
about that in a second. That is not a dig, but this is Chris Antista.
Brett Elston.
Henry Gilbert,
Dave
Whippity
Rudden.
Whip.
Then Dave Rudden, we are talking about Captain America Civil War here. We're all big Marvel fans. If you haven't seen the Marvel card videos that we've been doing or the Marvel video game streams, I'm sure our credentials do not need to be in question at this point. But we just got out of Civil War like an hour ago. And I think everybody's response is...
Great.
Yeah.
Really good.
Great.
Yeah.
Big old thumbs up
In
to that.
a way, it's not my favorite Marvel movie, but it's like the best Marvel movie in that every movie where they combine, with all these characters combined, needs to be this giant crescendo.
It is the marveliest Marvel movie
This was
ever.
that, whereas Age of Ultron didn't feel as much like that.
No,
And
it didn't.
I don't really know why.
I mean, I would put it up there with the first Avengers. Like, not quite, but almost there, where it's like just things make sense for people teaming up and
just-
like maybe
yeah.
having slight.
But just like
being
how
odds.
how many characters they cram in here and everybody gets a great scene. There's nobody that feels just like, oh.
The only one who feels like they got
Hawkeye.
short shifted is Ant-Man. But he has the best moment in the battle.
Yes, the best
But
moment
I
of
would
the battle.
excuse me, Paul Rudd.
Paul
Because
Rudd,
what the treatment I thought Spider-Man would get is what Paul Rudd got.
Yeah.
Like he gets one line, then another, and then he disappears.
Yeah, but he's pretty great.
But his
for what
scene,
he's in
the
there.
whole Giant Man thing is like
Out of
Oh my
nowhere.
God,
that's
if-
great.
like
the Hawkeye on the arrow thing is great.
I mean,
like,
that fight scene is the greatest fight scene in Marvel cinema history. I'd
Yes,
say.
for sure.
Like,
the
it
best
is-
superhero fight. And again,
I don't know
not
how
to bash
that-
BVS, Batman vs Superman, because we probably will at some point,
Yes.
given how fresh it is. But like, I thought that fight was pretty great,
The one
actually.
at the Doomsday fight.
Yeah. Well, no, just him and Batman. I did not
Oh,
care for the Doomsday stuff.
Yeah,
Like
I-
Wonder Woman in first Doomsday, nothing else.
I agree with Darren Castro in the chat saying that Winter Soldier and Falcon's bromance was pretty great. I did
Yeah.
like that.
Are you like okay?
Or I
read,
guess rivalry, not even bromance.
I read Captain America at a time way after you guys did, and
Orange
that's
slices.
that's where I asked for, or that's where I was introduced to Winter Soldier. Is it not bizarre that the MCU is setting Winter Soldier up to be like one of the, like a
a
kid's-
linchpin in the whole thing.
Yeah, like a kid's favorite character could be Winter Soldier, and
Yeah.
you never would have thought of that 2
that
years
he
ago.
did everything. Yeah, I never would have expected that when Ed Brubaker brought him back in 2005, as I talked about in
Yeah.
Superhero Spotlight.
Sketch Layer Josh, what up, buddy?
The thing that got
he
me-
said he's pleasantly surprised by how much Hawkeye was involved with. Hawkeye being the only character of the MCU who is only involved in the Avengers.
Yeah, that's true. He finally had a
Yeah.
good part, though.
Well, Thor maybe.
Underrated in that movie was that the big fight is so big that you forget Hawkeye versus Vision was so cool. Like that was the
Yeah.
perfect Vision. Like yeah, Vision is untouchable. If he doesn't want you to mess with him, like he'll just do that shit.
Wow, I actually forgot about that. And
Yeah.
that was an amazing
That whole
moment.
scene is great, and and I love Ant-Man's reaction. Something's flying through me.
Yeah, the Vision's intangibility.
Yeah.
Though I did feel a couple times they had to be like, well, Vision has to scale back
Oh,
because
dude, that
if
whole
he
fight
did shit, like
that whole fight, it's like everyone run together and clash, and then Vision disappears for at least 7 minutes because he would stop the whole fight immediately if he was actually engaged in this battle.
As Dr. Voodoo is pointing out, every character had their moment.
Oh yeah, and Rod the Master is right that Winter Soldier was in this more than Winter Soldier, but because he was the mystery of Winter Soldier. Now that he's back and he's
that's the best thing
Bucky.
about getting rid of the origin story and jumping straight into the meat.
The big thing about this movie that struck me compared to seeing Batman vs Superman, Man of Steel, the Marvel movies always try to go for a more fun feel. That's just that the tone of all these movies is a little bit more jokey. But this was like, coming off of BVS, it was like, wow, there's stakes and it's serious when it needs to be, but like the audience is laughing. There's levity. And it's still, you still feel the seriousness between Iron Man and Cap wanting to go all the way and fight each other.
There's so many hilarious bits in there, but it still also had tons of time to be like my favorite part about how they showed how dangerous it is in the Marvel world is they picked fights from 4 of the films, the big ending things from 4 of the films, which we all remember is all this fun shit. And then it was, here is human level view of it. And like just, Hulk jumping from building to building and smashing stuff was awesome. And then here's somebody with a camera of like, wasn't awesome for that guy.
Not to pick on Batman versus Superman. The movie I deeply fucking hated.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that they both shared almost the exact same theme. That is the destruction, the collateral damage involved in superheroism, and that's within a month of one another.
That's weird.
And so I think why Marvel was more fun. 1, more characters. 2, more of an established universe. You
have a reason to care about these people beyond the brand of their
just
name.
watching it, I'm like, I cannot believe DC went into looking at the consequences of just being these characters in the second film.
Well,
this is a Captain America, but this isn't even the Avengers.
I would say there might have been a bit too much levity in that big big
Sometimes.
battle.
Sometimes,
Like, can we still be friends? Like, what?
Well, because it was
I did
before
love
the fight
that.
even started, that like we may not all
Because
make
in the
it.
first Avengers film, they have a ton of moments together.
Yeah,
Like they're
they're
the
like
grounded people
these
who are in
these
the
are friends fighting for the first time.
If
and it's
you
I
just-
also
wanted
buy
to-
Hawkeye and Widow being like, look, I know we're enough mercenary people that we know we're fighting because we're on the wrong side, but like when this is over, let's like hang out.
Yeah, but meanwhile though, Dave, if you wanted them to hate each other fight, that is the end fight of the film.
which was great.
PNB Live points out Tony's kind of totally bone Aunt May. I would like to point out the how young Aunt May gets with every successive movie.
Every time she's younger. I mean,
did anybody know that was coming?
I had heard the rumor. I talked about it on the Cape like a year ago. The rumor was she'd be it, and some were complaining like, "Oh boy, a 50-year-old woman gets to be an elderly aunt now."
Yes, we can. Tranquil Bez, hold on, but yes, that's what I also love about it.
Yes,
for some reason, the maternal characters stay secret in the MCU, whereas we find it of all the other casting. Linda Cardellini, when she popped up in Age of Ultron,
that was
what the
a
fuck?
huge shock.
Why is she here? But Tranquil Bez just brought up yet another community.
That was
community
so
cameo.
great.
If you don't know, the Russo brothers who directed this and Winter Soldier and the upcoming tentatively titled Infinity War saga duology, they got their start directing episodes of Community.
Yeah, I also thought they've directed multiple episodes of Arrested Development. Did you notice like the prominence of the stair car during the
you laughed
Germany
the
fight?
loudest when
I know.
it
I
happened.
thought they were going to
David.
use it for some reason.
I think it was intentional.
I can't.
I
wait-
thought they were going to ride out looking like the fucking Brady Bunch.
I can't wait to see what superhero Dean turns into when that self-microwaving hot dog fails and
Dean is
radiates
built
him.
to be a villain.
It
He
was
has
so
to be.
great seeing the Dean show up. Like I loved seeing that. But yeah, I guess we talk about all this great stuff in it. What did you guys fear that Cap got kind of lost in the mix?
Yes.
It
Like,
felt less of a Cap movie than Winter Soldier.
in the middle, I forgot it was a Captain America movie.
Yeah.
I thought that the second I sat down, like I started remembering the trailers, like Captain America's barely in
Yeah.
any of the promotional material.
I'd say in the middle, it kind of more becomes like a Blues Brothers film. Like, let's get the band together, and they have to have like about 20 minutes of getting characters together. And multiple people said it in there. The second, like, we knew it was coming. We knew this was when Spider-Man was coming there. But when Queens flashed on the thing, like, I nudged Brett so hard. I was grinning.
No, man,
super
like,
hard.
and I figured I would go in like, oh, it'll be nice to finally see Spider-Man in a movie. But when you finally see it done so absolutely perfectly, and you see him before he's even in a suit, you feel that he's Peter Parker, and that he's a kid, and that he's Spider-Man, and immediately I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is what I wanted in 2002
No
and never
pun
got.
intended,
Like, this is... Everything about this is working.
I didn't mind his happiness being in that fight, just because this is like his first time hanging out.
Well, that's
with
what
these
Spider-Man's
people.
supposed to fucking be.
Yeah,
He's
okay.
supposed to swing around and make jokes.
So
And he
let-
never does it in any movie.
But
So-
and also this movie's equivalent to the Martha scene where it's Queens, Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Which is like I like
That was
as a New
pretty
Yorker.
cute. They're both from different boroughs, but
Yeah.
yeah, I did. Oh my god! All right, let's just talk about Spider-Man. Spider-Man
Okay,
was perfect.
so I just
Was-
want to get this out of the way because I love that sequence, but I was looking forward to that sequence. We just discussed in Cape Crisis, the writers of this movie were sort of like, well, we're not going to bother worrying about newbies anymore. Most of the Marvel movies so far have been very concerned with people who don't know these characters and don't know the story of the MCU films, like catching them up and making this seem like a self-contained movie. And these guys were just like, that. It's been 11 films. Like, you can't do that anymore.
There's no
And
way to do
people
it.
in the chat going like, dude, you have a metal arm? Like, little things like that where he just remarks on things. And
Oh
like,
my god! When he threw, okay, one of the perfect Spider-Man moments. Obviously,
yeah,
the AT-AT was the best one, but I actually
Fucking
Remember that old movie?
I love
Empire Strikes Back. That movie's made the year I was born. Fuck you, Peter Parker.
And no, my favorite little Spider-Man thing was
Yeah,
when he
I
was
know what you're
fighting
talking about.
Winter Soldier and Falcon, and a thing is being thrown behind him, and his spider sense, he just fucking dodges it and throws it back at him with a quip, and I was like, that's perfect. I've never seen the spider sense done that
Yeah,
well.
he grabs something up behind him, and then like he sees a car or whatever was being thrown at him, and like the perspective from Winter Soldier where you hear Spider-Man say, "Hey, you dropped something," or "Hey, you lost this," and he comes around, the car's already coming back at him. And it's like, fuck, that is such a good. Because when you read about Spider-Man's fighting style, like as a kid on the cards or in comics and like the Marvel Universe stuff, like back in the 80s, they would describe like why he's such a hard person to fight, because even though he has no training, he's not a martial artist. He has any training whatsoever. He's so unlike every other character that the way he fights with all that agility and strength and the webbing, like nobody really knows how to fight back.
Yeah,
So
and-
when
and his
you
spider
throw a
sense.
car at him, most people will be like, "Well, I'll get out of the way or I'll catch it." And it's like he has all the ability to fucking swing it back at you.
He breaks every rule, though. I did love something else brought up in there. That thing breaks every rule of physics. This doesn't obey the rules of physics at
Oh, and
all.
the fucking line where he's like, "Where are you from?" He's like, "I'm from Queens." He's like, "Brooklyn." And like, fucking, this is so
Yeah,
good.
and just that it reminded me why I say it's perfect, and it makes every other previous Spider-Man null and void. It made me realize how shitty they were in the other ones. Of like, they had some quippage, like Tobey Maguire and Garfield's one, both like they said some
They would
jokes,
try.
but they weren't. They'd also like in the big in the big Doc Ock Spider-Man train fight, which I actually still think is really
It's not
good.
bad. Yeah, it's not bad.
I now see it as, why didn't he say more stuff? Like, he barely talks. He mostly goes like, ow, ow,
Darren
ow.
Castro points out, I love that Peter was portrayed as a smart kid.
Yeah,
because
he's-
normally they do play up his dumb, shy, nebbish nature, but have to juggle that with him being super smart and don't talk about
I
it.
think in Amazing Spider-Man, their choice was, well, if he's too smart, then he's not a
Too
regular
smart, won't
guy.
play in the flyover states.
People won't like him as a smart
this-
guy.
Someone in the chat mentioned the great Ant-Man line. Oh, I thought that was a water truck.
That was great. That was a-
Phantom,
okay, sorry, Dave.
Phantom 5692 pointed out the best joke in the entire movie, Tony Stank. Which where does that rank in the?
That's great. I'd put that in the
cameos?
top 7. He also was able to get them some product placement, so Stanley made him
Nestle
money. by-
Milo? I'm going to be Googling that later. That's
Well, he was-
that's
he was-
early in the
I'm
film.
FedEx.
He was Mr. FedEx.
Mr. FedEx.
No, oh my god! But Spider-Man. I mean, of course, the best part was the AT-AT thing. Like him saying, "Hey, you know that famous movie, that old movie, Empire Strikes
He
Back."
said
He's-
really old movie. He
Yeah.
referred to it as an ancient film.
He was just-
Spider-Man, he's a menace.
He was just so goddamn funny, and he made his fucking web shooters. He made
Yeah.
the webbing.
I'll only say, like, again, I prefaced it earlier before we got going to the best stuff that you can't, like, you have to, when someone fresh coming into the movie, that sequence where RDJ, why does he go to Spider-Man instead of Thor or Hulk?
Sure.
Two, that scene takes a really long time and is disconnected from
It is
the
a-
entire film.
it
So if
is
I'm going to
very
give DC
lengthy.
shit for the press kit opening of,
Yeah.
of that film, like, this sort of deserves that too, because it's kind of clumsy. Then why does Spider-Man leave? Because it's a self-contained sequence. Get out of here, kid. You're done.
I mean, it really was just like a plug. It kind of actually reminds me of Quicksilver.
It reminded me of
in-
a fucking Kingdom Hearts summon.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, we plugged Spider-Man into this, now we plug him out. I mean, they announced him being in the film a year ago, so he wasn't
Yeah.
in the original script. Think of that too. And so then, they make an agreement with Sony. I mean, this could even just been that Sony said, "Hey, could you have basically a trailer for the Sony Spider-Man film
This
in
was
your
the
movie?"
first time I feel like their post-credit sequence was inserted in the middle of a film.
Yes.
The
Yeah,
film.
a little bit, yeah.
But it was fine. But
this is like-
I truly love that scene. It took a long
Yeah.
time. It was worth it.
Yeah, and just like One More Day, or whatever the thing with Mephisto, where it's one of those things where it's like, this how we got here to reset this or make this better with Spider-Man. The point is, it brought us Brand New Day.
Yeah.
I don't care that
Yeah.
it makes no sense or that it
I
is
just
kind
wanted
of
to point
awkward
that
and in the middle of
If
nowhere.
we're
but
pointing out, I just don't want the fucking Batman versus DC weirdos coming down on me again. Jesus Christ, you people!
Yeah, and it just reminded me of
I
how
love seeing Tony hold the web cartridge in Peter's room to see the
Yeah.
Batcave. That was great that they instantly established that Peter's a genius and he created the web cartridges.
So he's a genius who hides his uniform like right in the.
he lives in an apartment
He's
in
a Queens,
Queens,
kid in
man. Where's he
Queens.
gonna do
And
it?
Didn't
like-
he make like a lockbox or something?
But even there, they were careful. Like, so Spider-Man's been being Spider-Man in this universe, and we've never
6
heard of him.
months.
6 months.
Yeah.
But then RDJ pulled up like, here's a bunch of footage of you. We know who
Yeah.
you are.
Like,
And like,
well, that's
if you
fake
read
on
the Ultimate
YouTube.
Comics, that's how Nick Fury introduces himself
Yeah.
to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like, we've known who you are forever.
Also, just the great when Spider-Man is just the wall crawling when he's
Yeah.
following them on the glass.
yeah.
Like that
Dude, that
so
was
good.
crazy.
That was so good. I was just laughing out loud the whole time because
Yeah.
I never had seen Spider-Man that perfect.
Yeah,
I never
just
had.
every scene he's in is just like I didn't know how much I would be smiling every second he's on the screen.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I've seen Spider-Man in motion in movies. What's maybe it's going to be better,
They do
but it
good
wasn't just
movies.
better. It was like you have negated everything that came before this.
Yeah, it never happened. Like, it completely wipes the taste out of your mouth of Amazing Spider-Man. And I even think Amazing Spider-Man 2 has about 10 to 15 minutes of really good Spider-Man stuff in it. You could excise from a crap movie. But, this also is just... I hate to sound like a major Marvel fanboy, but Spider-Man being in this is like, okay, just Marvel should take it back for quality purposes.
Yeah.
Marvel should take back every character.
Yeah, that should
because-
show like, we can't get Fantastic Four to work. Make a deal. Do something.
I mean, even X-Men, which works,
Yeah.
I feel like,
Rod the Master asks, can we talk about how there are still no secret identities in the MCU?
well,
I guess
I thought,
Peter's,
like-
I mean, Tony knows his secret identity, but I think he's the only one.
But
Yeah,
just-
Black Panther basically unmasked himself.
unmasked himself immediately.
Spider-Man's kind of the only one.
I don't know if that was like supposed to be somewhat of a homage to the actual Civil War, where that's more of a deal, the having your secret identities revealed. Whereas it was nothing in this. I thought that would be
Well, I
something.
just
But
think that all these superheroes were born of a different time, and the suspension of disbelief is a lot different
Yeah,
than
yeah.
having we grow up under constant surveillance and social media. You
Yeah,
can't
Phil the
hide.
guy's pointing out like technically Spider-Man, Ant-Man, and Daredevil. I know Daredevil's iffy because of
Yeah.
whatever, but it's like they are secret identities.
and T'Challa has been a public superhero for about 40 years now, so he's not an identity for
But
some time. But
am I incorrect? How did Falcon and Cap know about Ant-Man?
Ant-Man fought Falcon, and
Yeah.
then that got him in contact with them.
Did it?
Because reasons, like it happened.
I just wanted to make sure I
yeah.
didn't miss anything. Just
I
like-
believe no. Okay, Michael Pena. Remember, Michael Pena said he knew a guy who connected Ant-Man with Falcon and the Avengers. Remember that at the end when with Michael Pena saying, "Hey, I
think
know
so,
a guy,"
yeah.
and he said he met a Shield
they-
person who
they
said, "Hey,
def-
we know people who."
They definitely
wall crawl,
referenced
you
that
know."
in this film.
Yeah,
Like,
there's tons. I
know a
loved.
guy.
I loved when Ant-Man said, "My Hank Pym told me never to trust a Stark." Who are you?
Palamari says, "Is Gwyneth Paltrow's contract done?" They kind of hung a lampshade on the fact that she's not
did
in the
they
film.
break up in the last movie, or was
No,
it like
they were still
yeah.
together.
No, not at
she
all.
she slightly had extremis powers, and then they took it away. But I think they
sorry.
just decided, nah. Also, they
I got
did-
off that subject. My second favorite scene in the film is the Winter Soldier chase scene with Cap and T'Challa.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest things I thought about it. I had watched the first Superman recently, and when Superman runs really fast, it looks like a young Stephen Colbert being dangled over the ground and pumping his legs, TJ Hooker style, as fast as he can. Not great. And so there's a sequence where you see all of their legs running, and you see that they're all superhuman, really fast
alongside
runners.
cars moving at like
Yeah.
20
And
miles an hour.
Me thinking of like how to do that Superman sequence better. It's like either their legs have to be moving really fast, and their legs weren't. They were just faster. They were pushing harder. I've just never seen anybody do a sequence that well. It made me excited for more Flash.
Like, I like that it established kind of like their speed, like something you would probably see on a Marvel card. But like, Cap's not going to be as fast as Black Panther. Yes,
when he crashes that van and gets out and doesn't miss a beat, like just keeps running.
It looked like that Bollywood movie where that guy like jumps over the airport.
So Chris Capel wondered what the deal was with Martin Freeman, and I can answer that, I believe. So the character,
again, everybody, spoilers.
Yeah, I would hope they're not sticking around for that. So yeah, Everett Ross is a supporting character in Christopher Priest's run on Black Panther. He is Black Panther's liaison in America with the American government, and he's a comedic character in that, which would make sense why you would cast Martin Freeman, though he's not a comedy character in this, so he's not like super serious.
He didn't have a lot of crazy moments. I'm sort of confused. I was sort of confused why.
It was really, I think it's just like
Thunderbolt wasn't there to deliver a lot of his lines.
I think it's just to set up like Martin Freeman will be back in Black Panther.
Okay. Yeah, we haven't really talked about Panther himself.
If Spider-Man wasn't in this movie, I would be gushing about how Black Panther was also perfect
casting. The suit looked great.
Chadwick Boseman fucking ruled.
He really brought that stately, regal, like everything about his presence and like the way he carried himself in the movie.
I think
awesome.
maybe the most powerful part in the whole movie is the end when he's confronting that villain. I forget his name, but like just saying like everyone's being consumed by vengeance this whole movie, Zemo, but not me.
And it took me forever to recognize that guy, and I have not looked at IMDb. And it's about halfway through the movie, you may have heard me get startled. That is the Nazi sniper from Inglourious Bastards, and that role is fucking great.
He is so great in Inglourious Bastards.
Perfect in Inglourious Bastards as the embodiment of, I don't know, entitlement.
No, I know.
And this is like to see him as kind of the same character again.
Dan James Miller asked, "Who is the bald chick? I want to see a fight between." I think
she was cut out of the Age of Ultron. She's in the Avengers Age of Ultron trailer. You saw her standing at the same place Thor had the Vision. You don't remember we discussed this? What the fuck happened to the black bald chick?
Oh, okay, so
in this case, that looked like, what is her name, Shari?
It's one of his guards.
Yeah,
in Wakanda, he has an elite guards who are all women who are just the baddest bitches on the planet. And I think she was one of them.
That's what I assumed, because she's like, she walks right up to Widow and is like, I want to fight you. Basically.
Yeah, I'm the guard, and I'm going to fight you.
Thank you, L.T. Humphrey. Had the same realization at Baron Zemo. No, Herod Rod.
No, Baron Zemo. Baron Zemo had a very limited run in this, but he was I think he was very good. And Zemo in the comics is a guy who wears a purple outfit with hyena fur lining to it, but his motivations are very similar. He's a guy who has a very skewed sense of morality, but he works and sticks to that. He's like, you guys did this to me, I'm going to destroy you too.
Darren Castro saying, do you think Zemo would be back to lead a Thunderbolts team, like where he has to atone for what he did or something?
Could
like
see that.
Basically a Suicide Squad.
It worked perfectly for like the way this movie was structured, which is like it's about the two groups fighting each other. So the villain, yes, that it's perfect that he's kind of orchestrating it and making like setting these things up, framing Winter Soldier to make sure that like they get at odds with each other. Whereas I literally thought for like the first 2/3 of the movie, like, okay, what's going to be the one thing that makes them both fight one person?
Well, and him playing that video, you know what it reminded me of? Just now I realized that in the Vengeance film, fuck, it's leaving me. Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. In that film,
what movie?
Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance.
Yeah,
Chan-wook Park, man.
Chan-wook Park, the Korean film.
I can't understand any
part one of the Old Boy Vengeance trilogy. Dog.
Sorry,
what's the first part other than Vengeance? I can't even understand.
Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance.
Yeah, sorry, I meant Old Boy, but in Old Boy, the reveal of here's what has been driving you for real this whole time, and just this surprise of like, I'm going to silently play a tape and it'll completely change you.
Wisconsin Nights, you mentioned it, and so did P&B Live. The twist with Stark's parents. P&B Live says a hush went over their theater.
Yeah,
and I didn't connect. How did Captain America know that?
Well, as we noticed during our
twice in the film, I never do that.
Actually, he only knew, and we only know he knew because we watched the Winter Soldier film recently, and in that, when he is seeing the Winter Soldier files, Howard Stark's death is on there, and so I only caught it in brief bit there. Oh, there it was. And so that's when Cap found out too, but they never make it clear because it is supposed to be a surprise here.
Speaking of Stark's parents, like, what about that virtual reality whatever scene?
Oh my
with
God,
the Mr. Softy T-shirt and all that. That was amazing.
Him
like,
is less than zero Robert Downey Jr. Like,
I
that
have to
was
find
so,
out how they did
I
that.
want
Like,
to point out, yeah.
Only when they did this like weird soft focus thing and
Did it look fake?
Did it look bad?
Yeah.
But before that, I was like, holy shit.
And Dad Wizard points out Iron Man's justifications for what he was doing seemed pretty flimsy until the reveal of who killed his parents.
I still got Iron Man's perspective of like, this is
No,
going to
but
happen to us. And
He's talking about
it's
the
just-
idea of fighting Captain America to the death.
Right, but
that,
like, yeah.
but
that
no,
justification came into play with that reveal.
But that's how it was in the comics, where it's like he's like, "Look, this is going to happen. The governments will come after us, but this way I can I'll
protect
be the
you
one,
guys.
you know." And you can't trust him anyway, because even if he did, he'd build another fucking Ultron. Or
And
something.
just like in Civil War, in the comic Civil War, he constantly was like, "Please, Cap, just come
Yeah.
in. I really just want to arrest you. Fuck you."
Especially here, Josh is pointing out, but it was supposed to seem kind of faked, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So
it was
I guess
supposed-
it
it
works
should-
given
yeah.
the situation.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but that outfit was so great. Like, that was perfect. And of course, they had, he's been in movies for 35 years.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to find, what did he look like 35
Less
years
Than Zero is the ultimate unfunny Robert Downey Jr. role. And fortuitous, if you remember, if anybody can even remember his scandals of like the mid '90s.
But I want to get back to Black Panther real quick.
Please,
like
baby.
the bulletproofness of it,
That
his
was great.
extending claws were perfect.
And
too.
that like to show how powerful he is up against Captain America, he's the only one who left him with a permanent scar. Like
Yeah.
the vibranium shield that like at the last third of the movie is
vibranium
permanently
on
T'Challa.
vibranium gets
Oh,
scratched,
I
man.
hope, like, so is he not using that shield anymore? Like, he threw it down, but I'm like, I wanted to
what?
see that
He
shield
left it
come
with
back.
Iron Man.
Yeah, I
Iron
wanna
Man
see
said
that
it's not
shield-
yours, and he
yeah.
left it with him. Like, that was the price. Like, I went into it thinking Cap was going to die, but the price of him
Whoa.
was leaving the shield. But then again,
Is
he's
that true? Jaren Castro saying cool to finally see some Netflix crossover. Black Mariah was the one who met Tony at the elevator. Will be in Luke
sorry,
Cage?
I have to clarify that, Darren Castro. That is a worthy theory, but the Russo brothers clarify that it is the same actress, Viola Davis, not Viola Davis, but
playing two separate characters in the MCU.
they cast her in Civil War,
Oh,
and
no.
then she was cast in Luke Cage, but they are different
Oh,
characters.
wouldn't that
They're
suck
not the
if
same.
she lost the big role in Luke Cage? Because sorry, you filmed a 2-second part in
Yeah,
an Avengers
well, she
film.
plays. I mean, that character she plays. There's an analog, though not exactly the same. There's an analog in the Civil War comic who's just like, "Hey, I am a mother of one of the people killed, Tony Stark. You shouldn't do this," and he takes it very personally.
Dr. Voodoo says, "How about that Cap holding the helicopter in place bit?
Oh.
Dude next to me in the theater was freaking out. His girlfriend claims to not have noticed. We all know she noticed."
No, that was. I did love that, and it looks so real. Like maybe I felt that because I'd seen the clips of. This is
Yeah,
him on
yeah.
green screen holding the thing,
Yeah.
and it's Cap doing stuff that. All right, look, Batman versus Superman.
Oh, goodness.
Nothing seems interesting to Superman, and his powers are boring, and he barely likes using them. In this film, every character got a cooler superpowers moment than Superman got in his entire
Iron Man even
goddamn
demanded
movie.
that everybody, can anybody show me a power of theirs I haven't seen yet?
Exactly.
It was a great
Oh,
sequence.
it was so great, yeah. And so it was just so lame. It just reminded me how lame Superman was in his movies.
It does get me excited thinking about this Sinosaur. I don't think
Sino-
Cap will die until Thanos. If they kill him, it'll be Thanos, and it's like that does remind me of like one of the great scenes in Infinity Gauntlet is like when
Shattered.
everyone
this
else.
Is, this is Infinity Gauntlet spoilers, people.
Yeah, well,
Brr,
yeah,
brr, brr.
for 1991. But the idea of Cap, when everyone else is down, Cap just walks directly up to Thanos and is like, "I'm not gonna quit. I know you're omnipotent, but I'm still gonna fucking punch you right in the jaw." And then he just gets killed.
George
But-
Taylor says that helicopter scene was sexy. This movie's Thor picking up the hammer from Thor 1.
Yeah, and they
Shirtless scenes
did
there.
explain. They did explain, guys, why Thor and Hulk weren't there. The Hulk went vanishing after Ultron. They still don't know where he is. And at the end of Ultron, Thor went, "Oh, I've got to go into space and figure out what the deal with that vision I had of
Shut up,
the
Landon.
Infinity Gems." So there was an explanation. I also, based on the trailers, I did not think it was going to be Vision who was the one who injures War Machine. Like that, I did not expect. and that he just misses his shot. Like that was, and the relationship between him and Scarlet Witch was really cool too.
PNB Live says, "I want a movie of just Vision and Scarlet Witch relationships."
Yeah.
Can he? Be
There's a lot of comics for that.
Has he? He's been romantically interested in people.
I have a collection that
married.
I have a
Oh,
collection.
wow.
I have a collection that's just
'Cause he
called
doesn't-
Vision and Scarlet Witch, and it's them in like a ranch house that they
It's
live in.
one of the few number ones I have.
Because he
Scarlet Witch.
doesn't eat food, but does he eat?
Yeah, I mean, he can
He's
become
fully
Diamond. He become Diamond Hard.
Does he chop the skunk guts? I don't know.
I mean, yeah, that fight was so great, and him just walking through the wall, and Wanda saying, "Now we've talked about this." He's like, "Well, the door was open, so I figured wall is fine."
Man,
The reason Vision doesn't hang on my current 3DS is because it doesn't have a little.
George
nice
Taylor
class.
saying, "I love the Vision cross Scarlet setup, which confuses me because Black Widow is Scarlett Johansson, not Scarlet
It
Witch."
always confuses me.
Yeah.
But Scarlett Johansson has 2 T's in Scarlet.
Yes.
Is that the
Let's
difference?
say yes.
I just call her ScarJo, and you'll.
ScarJo.
ScarJo, yeah.
Now,
Because they don't- never refer to her as Widow.
no, they don't. That's true, but. Yeah, poor Paul Rudd gets kind of lost in the mix, and just as I loved his introduction to Cap because it was like at a job interview. He says, "I know you got a lot of people to choose from. You picked me. I'm thank you so much.
You're
Cap."
cool too.
I'm
Yeah,
trying to-
you're cool too. Hey,
I shouldn't even bring this up because I can't put a pin in it. But when I first was reading digital comics on my iPad, it was around the No More Mutants and Schism stuff that was about Scarlet Witch. And one of the coolest panels I took a screen grab of as the background of my iPad was a bunch of cars falling through the city, which is the exact sequence that, like, I think one of her best moments.
Yeah.
Other than I couldn't believe, like, we talk about the original Civil War, which is 10 years old to the day of us talking about it.
Issue 1 was May 3rd or whatever.
May 3rd.
And that
2006.
the catalyst for the superhero registration and the ultimate the subsequent Civil War was a group, the New Warriors, filming a reality show, causing a shitload of damage. I am actually pretty astonished they pinned all that on Scarlet Witch, but it does make sense.
yeah, but it
That was fucking awesome. She contained an explosion, lifted it as high as she could, and it just blew all over a building.
and I think that's all right.
Giant Man, yes, Sam. We mentioned it earlier if you just got here.
The film is so similar in at least like themes to what they were trying for in Batman versus Superman, but that's what I like, that they had freaking answers, as I angrily complained about on our BVS podcast. When it comes time for Superman to go to Capitol Hill and explain why he does stuff and why he should exist, they then just blow up the place and don't explain it. Here they're just like, Cap says, well, we try to save whoever we can, and there would have been a lot more dead people.
Yeah.
And then Iron Man's like, but we could do better, and people need to be held accountable. And they at least have answers for stuff.
And I think at the end, like, you just sort of realize, well, how much practice do we get as superheroes in the MCU? And if you're telling me I'm going to be held accountable for trying my best, why try ever?
And in the case of like in Avengers, in the first Avengers, that's like saying like, well, these soldiers didn't save these other people in this war zone. Like, yeah, it was a war zone. Like, they did their best, and they saved.
But there's
what
still
they
a chain
could.
of command, and there's people they report to.
That
and,
is true.
Like, so
that
it's
is
like
true. The
I don't know.
soldiers would, I guess.
Cap's- but then Cap's
my
right,
least
we're
favorite
like-
part of like actual society, that everybody demands consequences and repercussions for things nobody clearly predicted, and just embrace chaos.
I
You
forgot. I
understand?
think Landon might have mentioned in the chat, but yeah, the Ant-Man line of like, Captain America, here is your shield. When he
Here's your
returns
shield,
it, like,
Captain America.
as if he's in an arcade game reciting a line.
It was so great, and yeah, I also loved. I felt like that was a real Paul Rudd moment of him saying, "I'm the boss, I'm the boss, I'm the boss" before he explodes. Like that's that's from Raging Bull, right? Or like
no.
where's that's a movie line. I'm the boss, I'm the boss, I'm the boss.
I don't know.
Wisconsinite wanted to know, like, is there a reason for Widow switching sides? And HGL said, why the hell wasn't she arrested with the others afterwards?
Well, because I think she was taking the side of agreeing with Stark, but not wanting to fight Captain America and Winter Soldier.
And she ran away. Stark gave her time to get away.
Yeah.
And it was lightly hinted at, but I do think Winter Soldier, and she knew Winter Soldier from her training days. Like,
yeah, that's been hinted at.
when she looked at him when he was strangling her, and she's like, "Do you not even remember?" Like, also, I liked that they had a little kiss between him and Sharon Carter. What?
Just Dan James Miller. The only thing that the movie confused me was power levels.
Yeah. Oh, we should do his power level.
Sometimes WS could stop IM.
Who's WS?
WS?
Winter Soldier.
Winter
Iron
Soldier
Man.
could
Come on,
stop
guys.
Iron Man, and sometimes Spider-Man was super strong.
Yeah.
It did play fast and loose with what I know about
some of them was definitely
Adrenaline.
because like Spider-Man.
Wonderful.
Oh, our camera. We're still here, everybody.
coming back.
But yeah,
Hang
the power levels like of those matchups, it's like Iron Man should always be completely outclassing all of them. But it's like Ultimate, where everyone gets a huge downgrade, but Cap got a huge upgrade.
Yeah.
Where like Iron Man in the Ultimate Universe was like way down the list, but Cap was way closer. Spider-Man is still kind of the strongest physical one there, like just raw strength. So yeah, it is weird when sometimes you would see Winter Soldier, but then he stops Winter Soldier's hand cold. It's like he throws a punch and it's like, yeah, wow, you have a metal arm, and he doesn't flinch. He doesn't like need both hands
Yeah.
to stop him. He's just like, no, I got it.
Well, they showed Spider-Man like catching that thing. It's
Yeah.
like it made it clear Spider-Man's pretty strong.
Yeah.
Though that is something I'm kind of glad they did, which they had. They didn't have Thor and Cap. Thor and Hulk. If they had Thor and Hulk, that
Yeah.
kind of would like break the fights.
Yeah,
like they're
yeah.
too big.
I mean, Vision gets close. For
Yeah.
sure.
Sinculus, I wish they would have gotten more into why Paul Rudd was so willing to help Captain America, like they did with Black Panther's motives, not just I'm such a huge fan, Captain
Well,
America.
no, it wasn't exactly that because Falcon. He says to Falcon and them like, so what? We're fighting some spies or something. And they say like, no, Iron Man's here. We're gonna fight him. He's like, wait, but what? Yeah,
But he has
all right.
beef. He has beef with Stark
He
family
does.
in the history, and then he knows it's like, well, I'm already a criminal, so like, if I can get back at a
If you
Stark,
can,
like,
Reader, did you? No, none of us had any idea the Giant Man stuff was going to happen
No.
Yeah.
this early on. With
I didn't
Ant-Man.
know.
Especially in a movie that's not even his.
Yeah, that they
like-
used Giant Man in that.
And
I want.
that's what I try and like not to toot my own. I try and do that with our show. Like I try and throw everything I can and not worry about the next episode. And I think that's what's great for the Marvel movies is that this was like, yeah, we need to make this the best movie ever. Fuck everything that comes after it or any
Yeah.
plan we have.
I don't-
Let's do that with every film.
Though I don't know how they'll top this. So I guess they'll never like. I don't know. Whatever the next Avengers is going to be. Like I mean, it definitely seems like it's going to end with Thanos, but this. It probably won't be a hero on hero fight, so maybe they
Yeah.
were just thinking like, "This is the biggest hero on hero fight." We're
yeah,
ever
and
gonna
they're
do.
super fractured now, and it's like, well, what would bring them back together? Thanos with these gems
Yeah.
that blow
Yeah.
everybody up
They
and
were
rewrite
fractured.
reality. Like,
They were already fractured at the end of Age of Ultron. And if
Yeah.
you remember
Yeah.
the end of Age of Ultron, I'm talking to Elston here who's only seen it once, but the people at the beginning of Captain America, those are the Avengers. That was
Yeah.
what was left of the Avengers,
Yeah.
That's
minus
what-
Vision in wherever they blew up the Wakandian consulate. I don't know.
So, Daddy Mulk, which I think is a VGM
wow,
reference,
yeah, Ninja
Uh,
Warriors, everybody.
point out a reference that I didn't get as a Marvel noob. He said Batman vs Superman had a jar of piss. Civil War referenced orange slices. What is that?
yeah, after Giant Man was big and then Grint Small, he's just like, does anybody have any orange slices?
Is that a reference to something
I
or just?
believe that was an Ant-Man that he had that like recovering from his change. I
Yeah,
think
it's just like
I thought
Oh,
it
it
was
was
something
just-
from
he
like
just-
what you get at the end of a
yeah.
Okay.
like a
Oh, yeah.
Little League game.
Well,
That's
yeah,
true.
or like
To
if
get some
you're,
Gatorade
in
and
a,
orange
if you're in a
slices.
rave and you go to the come down room, it's like they're usually like, have some orange slices, man.
B12 and some orange
Yeah.
slices.
And Rod the Master says Bucky and Falcon's
Hold
silent.
on, Jexstar says, I knew about Giant Man. Goddamn Lego. They revealed it on the box of the Lego
Oh, yeah, it's
Civil
true.
War set.
I tried to
It's been on
bury.
shelves for months.
Yeah,
Inescapable if you have a kid.
they
Poor
got to sell
Jexter.
toys, man.
You can't have an Ant-Man sized Lego. Wouldn't make any sense. Rod the Master pointed out Bucky and Falcon's silent approval of Captain's kiss was the best.
Yeah,
that was really great.
That whole sequence was really fucking funny. Nice getaway car. Can you move your seat up? No. It's a VW bug.
It,
and we're all
it does
6'2".
say something about their chemistry that I finally am over Cap not being with Scarlet.
JL says it's the orange slices are a tequila
Taco Bell.
reference. No, you clearly have never done a shot of tequila.
Orange with tequila.
Orange.
Yeah, no, it's a lime, right? That's the.
Henry hasn't either, but that's okay. We'll give him some shots when this is over. Everybody say happy birthday to Dave.
Oh, thank you.
It's his birthday this week.
God damn, man! That I'm still just coming down from it, but that was.
That's a great
so
idea,
like-
Brenda. Top 7 dumbest ways to spoil a movie.
Oh yeah, a toy.
This will never happen again. ESRB content descriptors for the adjacent.
Oh
game.
yeah. They will
Smoking
never.
Nick Fury. God damn it.
They will never make an adjacent game, but there was no Nick Fury in this. Like, and Shield was not even a factor.
Yeah, I
And-
think he's never going to have a better moment than in Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
no, probably.
What
not.
organization does he head up now, anyway?
I think it's still sort of Shield. Wasn't that what he did in Ultron?
Hey, look at
I'm
that,
not-
Davey.
Yeah.
Okay, he's looking
Yeah,
at
all
chat.
the happy birthdays. How nice. No, Yeah, if there's any negative I would say about it is that it kind of
the Orange is the Lost
only when they're in Locke's mouth.
So I do the negative I could say about the film is I do think it loses the plot of it being about Cap and Bucky. I think they are able to get it back once they get to Siberia. They have that little scene of like, oh yeah, I remember this. Like we're our friends, and I really liked the two of them fighting Iron Man together because it did. For the first time, actually, ever in the MCU, this is Cap and his sidekick. They are a unit working together, and I really like seeing that.
I just cannot believe how important Bucky is in the MCU. That's crazy.
Now, I did think it was a slight cop out of them saying like, "Oh, we'll put you in freeze again." Really?
Yeah,
okay.
Totally ruined. I want to see Bucky and Foggy meet up because they're basically the same guy, same hairstyle, but slightly different shade.
I want to see the same groundswell of support for Winter Soldier as we saw for what I was surprised by for Loki in the after Avengers. That everybody wanted more Tom Hiddleston. I hope everybody wants more Sebastian Stan.
I just think it's a problem that
Darren Castro. Oh, sorry, Hank.
Every character gets overshadowed by Spider-Man though in this. Like it's just such an orgasmic release of like Spider-Man's finally awesome.
You think Coulson ever comes back into the movies as Darren Castro? And Joss Whedon had responded to that recently in like. He said he feels bad about it because his death was used as a plot device, but for the people who only follow the movies, which are literally me now, because I do not care for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they don't want to have to go about explaining why Coulson is still around.
I think perhaps when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is canceled and they just like, now you don't have to worry about his Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. continuity. Just
I actually think his time in the limelight is over, which sort of sucks because he was a great character.
Clark Gregg made his money, though. I'm fine with that.
Also, this was a small thing, but like, I don't know. I normally don't get moved by this kind of thing, but when they're at the airport and it goes and it pans over the crew of like this team versus that team, for some reason when it did the almost like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 like team profile view when it was like Spider-Man standing next to Iron Man, standing next to Vision, I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Like, just seeing them all on there, and each of them's in $1 million outfit. Like,
I would also like to point out that scene is in the trailers. With Spider-Man digitally removed. He is not in that sequence.
I love that, because everything's in a fucking trailer, so make a fake trailer shot to fool people. Actually, Brett, one of my favorite moments visually is 3 seconds after that when they finally fight each other and they all like on the same shot are all hitting each other. I was like, this is a double page spread on the screen. Like this is in the big crossover, the double page spread of everybody fighting. This is it in a movie, and I never seen anything like that. It
felt a lot like the intro to something like MVC, but it like I can't really articulate this very well. But I was thinking about it while watching it because like in video games, you're constantly rewarded with fight sequences like that. But writing does not play as an important part in games as it does in these movies. That fight scene was refined 1 billion times over, where I guarantee you first draft on any video game cutscene is what ends up getting rendered.
We got to send this to Blur now.
And I'd like to do some reshoots. Well, that's never going to happen.
Yeah, we will never do
That'll never happen.
Good runner-up fight. Ghost Baby UK says, the hallway fight with Cap and Winter Soldier reminded me of the elevator scene from Cap 2. Just the shit they were doing in such confined spaces, like ripping off of the banister and using it to swing down. I'm like, holy shit, that was
I would
amazing.
say, and also them using the hanging guy as somebody to swing off of. I mean,
that was amazing. Like that to me showed also the difference of like we've seen several stairwell fights with Daredevil. He does it once a season. Fights through a hallway of people. I'm like, well, this is the difference a budget gets you. Because there's one prolonged shot that hinges upon choreography and lighting, and here's this giant sequence.
I did love when Steve looked at him like, dude, come on, man. Like, don't. That is, but yeah, going back to it saying like Cap gets kind of lost in it. There's that
they
bit.
They did, so they shot Cap with, because he's my friend, and they digitally erased Bucky behind him and his missing arm.
Oh, that's right. That is right.
I was trying to remember what exactly happened. He's like, because he's my friend. So was I. I'm like, well, I didn't see like Bucky, a paraplegic Bucky behind
Batman
him.
versus Superman, they just fucking show you Doomsday. They'll just do it. Like, fuck that. That's also, okay, another reason to say this is better than Batman versus Superman. In BVS, it took the easiest classic comic book cop-out of, we hate each other, a bigger threat appeared, we're friends now. This didn't have that cop-out. It ends with them fighting each other. Like, and it would have been so easy for Baron Zemo to just be like, and I'm so glad you're here because I have a super armor and I'll fight you both.
And the only reason that fight ended was an escape and a mistake.
Yeah, when Cap beats him, like he does, he deactivates his arm. He's
Team
like,
Cap won, and the hashtag. That's what happened.
And just also the shock of seeing Bucky's arm gone. You're like, oh, he blew off his robo arm.
I wasn't really even clear on his arm because like we haven't seen Bucky fight this much. Well, in the 2 movies he's been in, but that's what I'm saying. Bucky looks like a giant badass, and it totally made me think about the arm for the first time, which I never really did outside of him catching the shield in Winter Soldier. Like, how did he do that?
A completely different sedate moment that I loved was Vision walking into Scarlet Witch's room.
Yeah, with this
sweater
terrible
on.
sweater vest on.
He's like, well, the door
was open. The implication was there. I can enter to the ceiling if I want to.
You want to talk about an oh shit moment of like things get real? When Anthony Mackie, Sam Wilson says, "Is this gonna be good cop, bad cop stuff? Because you're gonna have to bring Mark Furman up in here." I was like, "Whoa!"
That is my giant inside joke because we sat down. I'm like, Henry and Brett, do you want to sit next to one another so you can giggle and elbow one another at the things? Fine. And so my joke was that only Brett and I are watching The People versus O.J. Simpson. So when Mark Furman's mentioned, like, dude, that's the guy. Mentioned the guy.
But yeah, it made everything real. Like, oh, this is a black man in jail talking about racist cops. Like, ooh. But I also did love. I felt like it had never been done before. Falcon and War Machine just arguing early on of like, well, I think we should do this. No, I think we should do this about the Sokovian Accord. Like that was impressive too. And now I think Thunderbolt Ross can he can come back.
I'm very happy to see him again.
He could be Red Hulk. Like
I love William Hurt.
He could still be Red Hulk. Like
what do you love William Hurt the most in?
The Big Chill. He's really good in. And shit, there's another movie he's really great in.
But I think that I mean now after seeing
Terms of Endearment is wonderful.
Yeah. Now after seeing this, knowing that the Thor Ragnarok film is going to have Hulk in it, it gives you the 2 guys you missed.
I forgot he's in that.
Yep, they're both in it, and yeah, I guess that's where he went into outer.
Hulk hasn't been in any other films other than Avengers and Hulk,
and in Iron Man 3.
And at the end of Banner's in Iron Man 3,
yes.
but not
someone
Hulk.
Mentioned earlier in the chat, like the idea of all the villains keep dying in Marvel movies.
Yeah.
So the idea of the raft is like, who the fuck is on the raft?
Well, only the heroes.
The heroes are it. Like
I would say that I believe Abomination isn't dead, but and also now Baron Zemo's not dead, which I did like that too. I feel like Zack Snyder would have just said, "Oh yeah, this guy has to die. What he did is worth killing her," and instead they have Black Panther say, "No, here's why you don't die."
Fingers Malloy. It's a cruel world for the Ghost Rider fan.
Sorry,
it's true. I'll say Spirit of Vengeance. The second one is better, but
it's some fun stuff.
It's still Nicolas Cage goes full Nicolas Cage in it, which is unfortunate.
God damn, I'm trying to think of other
Red
guys.
Skull is not confirmed as dead. He just whisked away.
No, but his career
is. No,
he'll never.
No, Hugo Weaving has talked shit about being in the makeup, but again, Hugo Weaving talks shit about everything he does, and clearly keeps doing it because of me doing the money.
He doesn't give 2 shits about being Megatron and Transformers,
but he'll do it. He'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
And I think when they find the right role for Red Skull, I can't believe there's not a cool. Maybe that. Do you think Captain America will get another movie? Because I feel like I feel like Iron Man ran its course as a solo film.
I think by the end of Infinity War, I think they can have Phase 4 be a restarting, and I think if Chris Evans wants more money and to be, but also have to be in peak physical shape and to just be Cap again for another 5 years, I bet he'd do it. I bet he'd say like. It'd take $100 million, but I bet he'd do it. And I think they could. There's still shit to do with this, or they just kill him in 4 and have Bucky take over.
Yeah, mentioning Loki's alive, which we mentioned on the ride back after the movie. Like, it's easy to forget that like Odin is gone and Loki is running Asgard technically. So with Ragnarok having Loki, Thor, and Hulk, like that's pretty exciting.
I'd be fine with Falcon Cap as well, Rod the Master, if Sam Wilson took over and Anthony Mackie had it. I loved him using his wings as a shield. Oh, that was the first nudging of Brett I did, and it was when he mentioned Red Wing. I was like, his drone is the replacement for Red Wing.
I'm not gonna have a actual Falcon that I talk to.
Yeah. No, that would be silly if it was an actual Falcon. He has a psychic connection.
Well, how do you say that
Mark
name?
of Kree.
Mari Prime says this was as much an Iron Man movie as it was a Captain America movie. I think that's the only real bummer is that I think at the end of the day, Winter Soldier will always be my favorite because it really is a very coherent, self-contained story within the Marvel universe, and it, from the beginning to end, is about one thing, and one person's relation to that.
Yeah, maybe this is a good wrap up for this. We can go around the table
It's
and
almost
say
a good apology for the Age of Ultron.
But where this ranks in your Marvel films, so for me, I'll save this for watching it a second time, but I say that I think it is third or maybe second, because I think as a film, Winter Soldier is still my favorite one. The Guardians of the Galaxy is up there really high too. But meanwhile, Avengers, just seeing Avengers happen, like I don't think I'll ever feel as high a high as I did seeing the Avengers
Never
happen.
recapture that.
Yeah.
But this fight scene in the airport fight scene especially was the closest I'd ever come to that. So I think I maybe had the highest highs watching this film, I'd say. But for me, it goes Winter Soldier,
Thank you, Nathan.
Avengers, Civil War, and then Guardians of the Galaxy. That's my top four.
Chris is right. Cap 2 is a more concise film, and I will say that makes it the better film, but it doesn't necessarily make it my favorite. I brought up flaws in the film, but like none of that bothers me personally. It's just things that, like, knowing a lot of films, and this is. But clearly, this is different, and the laws of film don't apply when you're dealing with characters this beloved in situations you want to see this bad.
How many more movies until we get to see the Guardians of the Galaxy characters actually interact with anybody?
They have said Pratt will be in one of the Infinity War films.
Yeah, I doubt you'll see it
Pratt.
in Volume 2. I doubt you'll see that. Maybe somebody on a TV screen.
Yeah.
But no one's
I think
going.
Volume 2's stinger for Guardians kind of has to be some way to start tethering Thanos to Earth, or
them
how do you
saying,
get this space shit into Earth?
Yeah, it could just be them saying, "Oh, he's targeting Earth next. I guess I'm going home."
Which
guys.
was teased in the first Avenger when he's like,
I will,
we tried to take New York and we failed.
in hindsight, sometimes my favorite movie is Guardians.
Yeah.
Because Guardians is such a
probably for
great.
me.
Like, watching my dad get like that much of a kick out of this, knowing nothing about the MCU, knowing literally next to nothing about Guardians of the Galaxy. It was just. I feel it's like how Star Wars hit people.
Yeah. Wow.
And every time I watch it, like if I see any clip of it, like I'm gonna go watch the rest of that. Anybody else favorite Marvel movie?
Where would this one rank?
No,
among them?
I would say Guardians is maybe above this and Avengers, but like
Tell the audience.
it's all really close. Like those three are just all kind of just big roller coaster rides of a movie that
I'm predicting
I'll
it being
definitely watch again.
you will only see, and I was wrong about a ton of predictions for this movie. There really was a fight between Vision and Scarlet Witch. I'm on record saying that was a mislead in the trailer.
I do believe, I could be wrong, but I do believe I saw the Russos say Chris Pratt will be in the Infinity Wars. They're directing it too, but that they also said don't expect any of the Netflix people.
Yeah.
But then again, hey, be surprised if they do show up.
I think you'll see the Avengers on the screen of Guardians of the Galaxy 2. They will not interact, but they will.
But
you will see someone in the film.
I mean, I could not be more excited for them to do the next two Avengers movies. Like they've proven they're the best. They're the most dependably good directors.
I love. If you don't know the news, we related it on Cape Crisis. The Russo brothers said these aren't necessarily Avengers movies, and these are not necessarily titled Infinity War 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Nor should they be, especially when you see like. Captain America movie was a direct extension of the entire MCU, if not Avengers 3.
I mean, it could just be from now on, unless it's the origin film and their first one. They could all just be
MCU 5.
This is MCU episode 13, episode 14. Brett, where would you rank this one?
I mean, I'd like same as you guys mostly. Like, I think Winter Soldier is a better movie, maybe, but like this had so much. It was such a great it's fan service. Like, here's a scene that you wanted to see Ant-Man do this, and you wanted to see Spider-Man do this, but then they also made a great movie that still had all pure fan service that gave everyone pretty decent motivation, and but I don't know. I really liked what they did here, but as ranking them, I might still put Winter Soldier above it.
I can't wait to watch it again. And I don't say that about a lot of the Marvel films I walk out of. Thor, looking at you.
I love the first Thor, man.
I would absolutely see. Hey, when I left Ultron, I was like, I don't need to see this again anytime
I pirated
soon.
a cam version and watched it again like 2 days later.
But Civil War, I want to see it again on the big screen. I feel like there were a million moments that, some I didn't even hear because I was laughing and everybody else was laughing.
I want somebody to recognize that, like, when Ant-Man did his giant thing, I yelled "holy shit" uncontrollably, and immediately after Spider-Man did, I'm like, well, I'm basically Spider-Man. That's what that means.
Oh man, we
had the same joke.
Compare Spider-Man saying "holy shit" to Batman saying "shit" before Doomsday blasts him with stuff like.
Start branding criminals with a hot iron.
It was just no fucking fun, and It was really interesting that right after we leave Civil War, then I see the news break that. Ben Affleck is now the executive producer on the Justice League film, who I'm hopefully is a dude who can just say to Zack Snyder, like, no, shut the fuck up. Like, this is bad. Yeah. I'm not letting you do this.
And people who are just tuning in, if you want to listen to this in the show, we have another segment after this, which is a quiz on superhero identities in animation. I shouldn't even close it out with this, but like, I've been a little bummed out since Avengers 1. The stingers for the end of the movies have all been, I think, pretty bad. And I was remembering that the end of Ant-Man was the Bucky confrontation. Yeah. I didn't even realize his arm was in a vice. And it is like this. It is the same shot.
Yep.
I didn't know that. But I also was like thinking like that was pretty clever of them because they could have done that without a script. They could have like a contained Bucky could have been addressed 1 movie from now, 3 movies from now. So I don't think Marvel has. I don't think that, because people are talking about Carol Danvers and Captain Marvel. I think they have no idea what's happening with that.
They say we'll know in the summer.
I think they have no idea.
I bet at Comic-Con, by Comic-Con we'll know director and actress.
And I wish they did, but then I was also thinking back that, because their only idea when the Stingers are really awesome was that we want to make Avengers. So that here's Thor's hammer, here's Scarlet Witch, and I guess they can't really do that anymore.
Yeah, there's no like clear like just the Thanos like I'll do it myself.
Yeah,
it's like you still don't really know what you're gonna do though.
Yeah. But then again,
it's a stopgap.
But then seeing the spider signal, which is never, as far as I can recall, has never been in a Spider-Man movie before. That was great. And then also seeing like your first real look at Wakanda, that was something else too that it was a cool dawning on me moment of when they're freezing Bucky. I was like, wait, where are they? Wakanda? Oh shit, this is awesome. Like, yeah.
All right, guys, that is it for us. Thank you for joining us. You've already heard the first bit of Laser Time's podcast. For the people joining us in the video, this will be live on youtube.com/LaserTime Network if you want to, for some reason, partake in the show that way. And we will be right back with a superhero animation quiz.
All right.
But we're still live.
We're still live, everybody. Hey, thanks again for joining us. I really like this. I don't know if we're going to do this for Apocalypse. I guess that's the next one. I mean, I think we'll all see it probably, but I don't know. Would you guys want to see it at Apocalypse?
Let us know, man. I'm strangely...
we might as well.
I can't get excited for it.
We've established a precedent. Yeah. I think the ending of it will warrant a discussion because I think one way or the other they're going to blow everything up, or they're going to have some ending that makes you want to at least talk about it.
Yeah, though I don't know. I mean, before I could have been excited about mutant versus mutant, this big ass fight. How can it even approach what we saw in this movie? I don't know.
Yep.
I do not.
Landon wants one with the nice guys. You have to say one sincere thing next time you come, Landon.
Well, that's what they were called in the WWE stream.
What?
The nice guys. That's what I called the Caps team.
That'll be up on the YouTube channel very soon, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We can't thank you enough for being part of this stuff.
Yeah.
This is one of those. I don't have a good way to say it other than this makes life seem worth living. I love this movie. I love talking about it with you guys. I love seeing my childhood heroes. You realize not only for me, but for I can't, having gone to these movies with my friends' children, I can't not see things through children's eyes anymore, and that's part of the reason I hate BVS. Like, how is a kid supposed to process this? This bleakness.
Let's not get on that.
We're not, but like it's important. You guys should too.
But for me today felt like two gifts. It was like I wanted this Spider-Man my whole life, and this is the best Spider-Man I've ever seen.
Yep.
And then on top of that, an excellent Marvel film. But like, goddamn, Spidey! I just want to see it again just for Spidey. Like,
thank you guys for agreeing with me. Thank you, Thunderbird. We will hopefully do this again sometime soon. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Stay tuned to the YouTube channel and LaserTimePodcast.com. Peace, everybody.